you're watching Tell It Like It Is, and my name is Kathy Benuck. You're watching our series on candidates who are seeking public office in Bedford, New Hampshire during the 24 election, which will take place on Tuesday, March the 11th. Now, during the series, I'll be interviewing the candidates for the town council, the school board, town clerk, and town moderator. Candidates this year actually had the opportunity to do both this show as well as the BCTV produced series called Candidates Corner. And council and school board candidates also had the opportunity to participate in debates that were sponsored by the Bedford Men's Club. Hopefully all candidates took at least one of the opportunities if they want you to vote for them. Only 2 candidates did not bother to respond in any fashion to my invitations to do this show. And they were town council candidate David Coles and town clerk candidate Courtney Hodgden, or Hogden, however she pronounces it. Coles did not participate in the town council debate, and I absolutely have no idea whether or not he bothered to participate in Candidates Corner. Frankly, if either one of them did not participate in anything, I frankly would wonder why anybody would bother to give them a vote, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, the Tell It Like It Is series is very different than the Candidate Corner shows because with Candidates Corner, each candidate could pick whom they would like to interview them. And there was really no requirement as to how or what questions would be asked of a candidate. This show is different in that I'm doing all of the interviews. Candidates have absolutely no idea what I'm going to throw at them during the interview. And to be as fair as possible, I'll be asking all candidates in the same race the same questions. All shows are going to be released at the same time, thus no candidate will have any kind of a chance to see an opponent's show prior to doing their own show. And in addition to the shows being aired on BCTV, these shows will also be posted to the show website at www.tellitlikeitisnh.com, and they'll also be on YouTube. Candidates did provide their own background information to me by my request. Some were very long and very detailed, and others kind of provided short life summaries. But to keep my introductions as fair as I could in length to each candidate, what I did then was kind of extract information that I believed would be most relevant to voters, and also to be fair to every candidate. The remarks I've just made will be given at the beginning of each candidate's show. And I do ask that all candidates try to keep their answers pointed because we don't have a lot of time, and I really would like all of them to be able to answer all of the questions that I've prepared, again, in fairness. And certainly at any point, a candidate during the time that they can talk themselves could go back to a subject if they chose to do that. So, having said all of that, my guest today is Town Clerk Lori Radke, who is this year up for re-election and would like to be re-elected. Lori is a candidate, as I said, for re-election. She's been the town clerk since March of 2008. She also serves as first vice president, in fact, of the New Hampshire City and Town Clerks Association, and in September will be sworn in as the president by the Secretary of State, Bill Gardner. She earned her Bachelor of Science degree in Industrial Technology with emphasis on graphic design, communication, and management from Central Connecticut State University. And then 3 years later, she also received her secondary teaching credentials from the same school. Lori then went on to earn a master's degree, a Master of Arts degree in Educational Technology from San Diego State University. She has served as an industrial arts teacher at the Morgan School in Clinton, Connecticut, as a hall advisor at San Diego State University, as area resident director at Bryant College in Smithfield, Rhode Island, and over a 10-year period held 4 different positions at Daniel Webster College here in Nashua. Director of Student Activities, Director of Residence Life, Director of Student Leadership Training and Activities, and Director for Academic Support Services. Oh, sorry. Prior to being elected to town clerk, Lori also served as a creative specialist for the Greater Manchester Family YMCA. And for 3 years, she was also a Bedford Town Council member. She's active in many community groups, and she does devote a phenomenal amount of time to working with the spirit and cheerleading squads of the Bedford Jaguars. And she and her hubby Oliver have 3 kids, 2 of whom are currently at Bedford High School, and 1 is a UNH student. So, with all that,
Wow.
good to see you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much. What a great intro. Thank you.
Well,
I think you covered everything.
Well, I hope we got in the main things you want people to know, but you can always throw some in later.
That was fabulous. Thank you. And thank you again for inviting me.
Oh, no, I'm delighted you're on. And I think people should have as many opportunities as possible to hear candidates. And frankly, in a town as small as this with such a short campaign season, I can't imagine why any candidate wouldn't want to be out there in front of people as much as possible. But
I agree.
I think we had sometimes.
We're lucky to have the opportunity. BCTV is a wonderful venue that is open for the residents to use, and I'm glad that we all take advantage of it.
Well, almost all.
Almost
We
all.
appear to have
That's
a couple
true.
that don't. Well, okay, first question, and as I mentioned to the audience, your opponent will get exactly the same questions.
That's fine. It's fair and consistent.
Well, the first one is a part 3 question, sort of. A previous town council cut the financial compensation for the town clerk position, but then the next sitting town council restored it. Before running to be town clerk, as I mentioned, you were on the town council. So this is where the 3 parts come in.
Okay.
And I mean, feel free to, be as open or as not open as you choose, because I don't know how sensitive it is. Do you think the salary cut somehow was tied into any political payback for anything, maybe even a position that you took as a council member? When your salary was cut, did they also reduce your duties? And do you think the salary should basically remain as it is and not always be at the whim of a council?
Okay, so 3-part question.
Yeah.
And the first question was...
The political payback part.
Was it a political...
You think there was a little of that involved?
That
personality.
happened, well, let's go back to three years ago. That's when it all happened,
Yeah,
2011.
I remember, yeah.
It was a tough time. But was it a political entity, or did that perpetuate that particular movement? I can't say for sure. I can't factually.
Well, no, of course not.
Maybe there's always this gut feeling that there was something behind that, because
it kind of came out of the blue.
it came out of the blue. If it really was, as a former council member, if I truly believed, if that person truly believed that it was a budget issue, that at that point that council should have contacted me before it was even brought up at the public hearing.
And it would have been a rather insignificant amount to affect the budget.
No, it wasn't. But it really should have been discussed. We're planning to do this.
You got it totally by surprise.
Yep. How is this going to affect your role as town clerk? All these questions should have been answered before it is even brought forward.
One would think.
So that part not have been done leads me to believe there was maybe some other ulterior motive
personal
for that particular motion to be made. So
yeah,
I'll leave it at that.
I kind of, I mean, as a viewer, that's where I was going with it, but.
Yeah, it was an unfortunate situation.
Well, yeah, and uncomfortable, I would think.
It was very uncomfortable for
Nobody
me.
likes that kind of antic going on around them. Now, when they did that, did they also say, so, now that we're cutting your salary, you don't have to do these things anymore, or were you just expected to carry on as usual?
I was expected to carry on as usual. Like I said, there was no conversation. there was no discussion. There was nothing, actually. And I did try to reach out. I reached out several times.
Well, I remember you appearing at council meetings and everything.
Yep. I went
I
to
do
every
remember
public
that.
hearing, asking questions, trying to get some answers. I even reached out to some of the council member. Can you please tell me where this is coming from? Do you understand the impact that this may have on this position here in town?
Never got a satisfactory answer.
Never got to meet with anyone.
Not even meet?
No.
Really?
I tried
Wow.
to set up a meeting, but it never occurred.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like a kosher kind of case.
Right.
Wow. So, I mean, I would assume that you would kind of like the council to stop interfering in the office.
That would be nice.
You think? Yeah, okay. All right, good answers, good answers. All right, does the town council have authorized supervisory abilities over the town clerk, or can it even define your responsibilities?
No, the only, as per our charter, there's a section in there, and I don't know the number offhand,
Oh, yeah, who
but
cares?
they do have oversight of compensation for elected and appointed officials. So that does include all elected officials and appointed. So they do have oversight.
That oversight, okay.
And there's a state statute out there that the state, that town clerks will fall under. Say, if they didn't have a charter.
Well, that's what I would have thought.
There is a state statute. I did check with the attorney up at the Municipal Association. Our charter overrides that particular RSA.
Now, does that mean the council could
Yes, they could.
change your job description
They
and
can't
duties?
change the job description. They can change my compensation.
But they can't change your duties or anything, can
They
they?
cannot change my duties. Nope. And my duties are, or the duties of the town clerk is directed by most of the state of New Hampshire.
Oh, that's
A
what I
lot
thought.
of our stuff we
Yeah,
do
that's
is
what I thought.
RSA based, and we have to follow those regulations.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that was a very strange situation. No question. I know that the town clerk plays a role in the whole election process.
Yes.
Whether it's local or one of the national elections. So what kind of duties, do you have to do, like before, during, and after? And can a town moderator make it difficult to perform some of those duties?
There's three entities. There's the supervisor, the checklist, the moderator, and the town clerk. Three people that really need to work well together. Lines of communication have to be open. We have to be able to plan ahead. And if one of those pieces it doesn't work well, then the triangle doesn't work, and there's not a nice continual path of communication. So yeah, it could be difficult if either one of those positions don't work well. Yes, it could be very difficult.
Have you run into it yourself?
Have I run? Well, I know that the former moderator and I didn't see eye to eye on a few things, but we often work through it, and we made it happen. Yeah, I mean, you're going to find that in any position.
But he wouldn't have been able to, I wouldn't think, or any moderator wouldn't be able to change the responsibility, though.
Oh,
of
no,
the-
no,
Okay.
absolutely not.
Okay.
Oh, no. Then there were times where he was very supportive
Yeah.
of what
that's
the
good to
town
hear
clerk
that.
did. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it would seem as though you'd all have to
We all
some
have to
kind
work
of a
together. It's very, very
symbiotic,
important.
which
Yeah.
way? Symbiotic,
Yeah,
whatever, relationship.
Yeah,
The-
so we all have to work together because we put on that, it's a huge program we put on
Yeah,
for the
I know.
town.
I
That's
know.
how I look at it.
Yeah. Well, you're right. Yeah, it is big. And, especially when we're dealing with big national elections and so on. I mean,
yes,
some of
that
those
was-
have gotten pretty crazy.
They have, and you have to make sure every I is dotted and every
Yeah.
T is crossed.
Oh,
If
yeah.
not-
Yeah,
'cause
with all the
usually-
challenges and all the things that
and
are
the
going
state
on.
always comes down to some kind of a attorney general member will come down and make sure that we're doing everything legally and that all our posters are hanging at the right feet from the floor. I mean, that's how particular they are. They come in with a list, and they go through that
it.
list. They usually speak to the moderator, but this year they spoke to me as well, and I had to show them everything that we had enough voting booths. We had to make sure that we had enough ballot clerks. Everything that
That's
they
all
had on their
regulated.
list, we had to make sure we had, and we passed with flying colors.
Oh, that's good.
We've done that every year. I don't believe one year that we were not in compliance with something. So it's been great.
Well, yeah, it's like everything. The devil's in the details
Yeah,
and something like
exactly.
that. And there's a gazillion details.
And I think our former moderator, I thought laid a really nice foundation on how the elections were run. It was a good foundation. And now, the last 2 years we had a different moderator, and we were able to build on that. So,
Do you think things are smoother, a little smoother?
I don't know if it's different.
Yeah.
How would I put it that way? It's just different. I took on a lot more responsibility.
Did you? Yeah.
Yes. When I think Brian Shaughnessy became the new moderator, he, right from the get-go, he said, listen, I cannot be here. I cannot do these things. And he does have the right, that's his, to pass on his responsibilities to a designee.
Sure.
And he appointed me as his designee.
Oh, yeah.
So I have taken on a lot more responsibility. Oh, yeah. And I was faced with that in 2012 when we had to hit the primary.
Yes.
So that was a
Yeah,
good
that was-
test to
yeah.
see, and I passed
Yeah.
it, and it was great. And then when 2012, the presidential,
Yeah, I know. That was
I
a
had to
dolly.
be really prepared.
Yeah.
And it was great. It worked out great.
No,
And
that's good.
yeah, and it was fun. I enjoyed that.
It does seem as though the voter experience is, at the very least, faster. because the end checkout there
We did
has been
eliminate that
yeah.
by state law. We did not, as we have voting machines, we weren't required
That's
to have
what
a
I
checkout.
understood, yeah.
Right, so we did eliminate, that was first and foremost. We fortunately haven't had any problems because of that decision. It brought our budget down because we didn't have to hire ballot clerks to man those tables. So we were working with the council, and I think they were pleased with the budget that we submitted for 2012. And we were way under budget. We did a good job.
I think too the exit now that you take,
Yep.
you know, coming out through the hall, I think that has avoided these terrible bottlenecks that used to be going on right in that front lobby area, because sometimes it was horrible trying to get through there.
That was one of the first changes I made. I said, okay, this is the issue. Why don't we use that exit door, go up the hallway so they're not coming back in, and we've turned that area into what we call a bullpen. And by state law, you cannot go through that area. That's where we keep the official ballots. So we keep that free from the residents and from the voters. So now they vote. Well, you know, they go in there, you check your name off, vote, put your ballot into the machine, and you take a right out that door, up the hallway, and out the door. So that way it leaves people coming in the door. It's that nice little pass thing.
And if one of the community groups is there promoting something or handing out brochures or whatever, there's enough room for people to stop and chat with them without that traffic flow kind of getting all boxied up.
No, it seems to work out well. It's I like the flow.
I know I was in and out of there a lot faster.
And I think in 2016, if I'm here, God willing, we've already talked about the supervisors, and I talked about having registration in the cafeteria to alleviate all that backup.
That would be
I
a
said,
good
let's
idea.
use the venue. Let's be creative here.
Yeah,
Think
that'd be a
outside
good
the
idea.
box. Yes.
Because that can get very...
That's where, that was our bottleneck in 2012.
Yes, with all the new registrations,
It was backing up people trying to get in to vote.
Yes, I remember that.
And then we're going to do a switch it so that instead of coming in and in this way, we're going to have it going horizontal. Use the length of the gym.
That would make sense too.
Yes. So
It's funny how just small details can really change the complexion of how something will flow.
Yes.
Well, I like that idea. Sounds good. I haven't, worked at the... Jerry and I used to be volunteers.
We'd
Not
love to have you
forever.
back.
I mean, there are people in Bedford who have done it for 30 years. I don't really know how many years we did it. Maybe 4 or 5. We responded to like one of these urgent pleas in the newspaper that they needed volunteers badly. So we showed up, and then of course every year I'd get the email, you want to come back? And then just, I don't know, we haven't done it the past couple of years. Just
you're
a lot
more
of
than
other
welcome.
things going on,
We'd love to
so we
have
weren't
you.
able. Well, but now they don't seem to need as many people either, though.
We don't.
That makes a big difference.
Yes. And we have a core group that's just awesome.
Oh, yeah, some
I
of
miss
them
them. I
have been
haven't
doing
seen
it.
them since last March.
I know, some of them have been doing it for years. I think they'd be heartbroken to not be able to do it.
Oh, yeah, they're sweet. They're just a great group.
Yeah, and longtime residents of the town. Yeah, good socialization kind of thing for them. Now, in addition to the myriad of services provided to residents by the town clerk, does the town clerk, and I honestly don't know this, do you also have to provide some services to the town council or to other town departments?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I get lots of requests for different things, such as researching, helping them out with different things. I can't pinpoint. I know one of the things I've taken on is the codification. When Russ was our town manager, God rest his soul, he had asked me to take on that particular responsibility.
Oh.
So
that was of the town charter.
Well, it was a codification of all our ordinances.
Oh, yes.
I did that committee. We put it together. We looked at all the ordinances. We worked with a company called E-Code, and it was an 18-month process. And then they were able to codify all our ordinances, and it's now online.
So now if you want to know something about a particular subject, you can find it without...
Easily.
Yeah, without searching through thousands of pages.
Exactly. All you do is type in a word, and the entire section comes up with that information. So we've done that, and I'm responsible for updating it. So every year I will submit anything that's changed, like zoning amendments or
because there would be
ordinances.
lots of little things.
Yep. So after March, the March election, I contact E-Code and I say, here are our changes. And I update that. So that's my
So it's an annual update now.
Annual update.
Yeah.
I've also taken on, since being town clerk, is the annual report.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Oh, now who used to do that before?
I believe Crystal did.
Really?
I said, let me do that because of my graphic background.
Yeah.
And so I've now worked with all the departments, gathering all the information, all the reports, and put that together. And the toughest part of putting it is doing the front cover, because I can never get it right. I'm like, oh, do I want to do this? I
know.
actually
Well,
love doing it.
Well, that's where the creative stuff kicks in.
I do. That part of me comes out and like, oh, this is so much fun. So I enjoy doing it.
And she's probably relieved to have that offer.
With that. She goes, absolutely.
That might have been one of those things that was like, oh God, I can't believe I have to do this too.
And I think I'm the only town clerk in the state that does it.
Really?
I've asked my friends. I said, oh, we wouldn't touch that. No, nobody wants to do it. I was like, oh, I love doing it.
Well, yeah, especially if you have fun with it too.
I do.
I mean, that's kind of neat, you know. Nothing wrong with that. So you're thinking, what do you think is the most important function of the town clerk? And is there anything that you would, if you could, or believe should be either changed or added or even subtracted, I guess, would be fair to say.
I think the most important thing from the town clerk is to be there. I get a myriad of questions and calls from people who just want direction. Then they're just moved to town, and the one entity that they're familiar with, because it's usually in every town and city, not only in New Hampshire but other states, is their town clerk. So they call the town clerk first. And to be there to answer their question, put them in the right direction, is probably the most important role of the town clerk. Almost like an ambassador type of thing. They come to me or the town clerk, and they get the answers, or they get put in the direction. So that's first and foremost. And then we're always there to provide vital records. That's our role. We get certified by the state to be able to do that. And then elections. We are, we're not the moderator oversees the elections, but we are an election official to make sure our elections are run fair and consistent.
Well, you know, your answer now makes me think, because obviously your office is open every day.
It is.
Now my son, one of my sons lives in a New Hampshire town that I think you can only get stuff, I don't remember if it was 1 day a week or 2 days a week during specified hours. And of course he worked in Massachusetts. So a couple of times when he needed things, and I don't even remember what kind of document he needed, whether it was related to his home or his car or whatever, he would call me up and ask me if there was any way that I could go over to that town and do it, because otherwise he would have to lose the whole day of work.
Right.
And I was like, well, fine, yeah, I'll be happy to do it. And he says, well, there are only certain times. And I'm like, that's all? You know, and when I went over, I'm reading the sign, and I mean, there was a very small window. And then I got there, and I was in this horrific line, because everybody in town who needed something were obviously there during that little time period on that certain day, and it was crazy.
Yeah, well, that's probably a small town. There's a lot of small towns.
Well, yeah, it's a small town,
Yeah, and they just can't afford to have someone there all the time.
Yeah.
So fortunately, Bedford is a larger town, and it's nice to have the town clerk there when the office is open. And that's what I fought for 3 years ago. It was important.
And a lot of people, when they need something, they need it then.
They do.
I mean, they, you know, can't like wait a week.
No, no.
You know?
And I often wonder if stuff that's on my desk, like if I had to wait, you know, when I came in 2 days later, how difficult that would have been. But I'm glad it turned out, and it's nice to have someone there.
Yeah. Now, you know, I think throughout the town, throughout town government, there have been budget cutbacks. And we all know that a major reason for that is the council's attempt to try to hold down expenses, because most folks in Bedford get sticker shock because of the increasing school tax side of our tax bill. Is there anything, you know, that you can identify, and I really hope department heads are very vocal about that this year, is there anything that you can identify related to your office that definitely has been either cut back or postponed or whatever because of these budget concerns?
In my particular office, I would say no, because it's very, my budget is not very extensive. I try to toe the line when it comes to the election budget. Brian had given me that responsibility. So I know when I did the budget this year, I said, okay, $400 for food per election. I said, so I know, I tried to trim it and be as conservative, but yet realistic as possible. As far as my town clerk budget, there's nothing really there.
Yeah.
That's
Well, yeah, because you don't have a gazillion people working there or something.
no, I don't
yeah.
have I don't have a staff working for me. So, and I don't. I mean, maybe $200 for supplies.
Mm-hmm.
I try to keep it as reasonable as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I did in the we have opportunities for training, so I know I'll be doing quite a bit of that. If I do get elected and I am president of the New Hampshire Town Clerks Association, I am required to attend a few different trainings and regional workshops and things like that. So
now and I have no idea if this is the case or not. Is the town clerk's office one of those parts of Bedford government that if somebody wanted to volunteer, they could?
They could.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
To do different little tasks,
If
whatever?
anybody wanted to come in and volunteer for things, I'd be more than welcome to have them come in and help me out.
Because, I mean, obviously there would be some parts of the town that it would be, I mean, for confidential purposes or whatever.
A lot of our ballot clerks are volunteers. They choose not to be paid. And I give them that
that's
option.
true, too, yeah.
I said, do you want to? Nope, I just want to do this because I like
Yeah,
to.
like doing it, yeah.
Yeah.
But even on a day-to-day basis, somebody who could give a couple hours a week or something to do office work, that's allowed?
That's, as far as I'm concerned, in my office, it is.
Maybe somebody listening will
I
go,
would love
ooh, that
that.
sounds like fun.
Oh, yeah, there's always something.
That could happen. That could happen. Well, we are down to a little over 3 minutes.
Oh,
So
my
what I'm going to
goodness.
do now is say the rest of the time is yours.
Okay.
If you want to, pick up on something we already talked about or have it all go to telling people why they need to reelect you, that camera is yours.
Am I on now?
You are on now.
Okay, great. First of all, thank you, Kathy, for inviting me.
My pleasure.
I had a great time, and it was great to know you. Thank you for that opportunity to speak about the upcoming election, and I just want to touch base on that. March 11th, 2014, 7 a.m., 7 p.m. at the Bedford High School Gymnasium is your opportunity to voice your opinion. The ballot, official ballot, will be ready for you to mark up. And I hope when you do that you see Town Clerk, it'd be one of the first, that's Article 1, that you mark my name. I'm the last one on the ballot. As far as names, that's the way the state requires it now. It's an interesting little configuration, but I'm on the bottom. That's just fine. I hope you vote for me. I gave you 6 years of good service, and I hope to give you 3 more, if not more, good years of service. So please, I would love for your support. And also I want to put a plug in too that the following day, March 12th, is our budgetary town meeting, and that will be held at the theater, Bedford High School, 7 p.m. We hope you're there. That's your opportunity to vote on the town side budget. So.
Wow, you did good. And you still have like a minute and a half.
45, yeah,
Got something else you want to throw in there?
Just thank you again. And BCTV, they do a wonderful job. And I'm just happy to be in Bedford. I like the town. I've been here for 13 years.
Is it 13? Yeah.
13 years.
Yeah.
And
Now, where
it's
did you move from to?
Nashua.
Bedford. Oh, you were that close.
I lived in
Oh,
Nashua.
okay.
Like I said, that's many years working at the college. And
Oh, yeah, that's right,
I
too,
wanted to
yeah.
stay in Nashua, but
Yeah.
for some reason, things brought us up here, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Now, when I saw that you went to college in Connecticut, you were native of Connecticut?
I am a native. I grew
so
up
you
there.
are a New Englander.
I am.
That's why
yes.
you're thrifty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you got to meet my dad. That's where I learned it from.
Even worse, huh?
No, I love New England. That's why I had to leave California. It was just too beautiful. I had to come back
I mean,
here.
California is wonderful, and I love
It
to
is.
go out there and wish I could go more often, but it is a different world.
It is
A
very
lot,
different.
I mean, you can see why they say La La Land. It is different.
That's what my husband called it. But yeah, it's very different. So, but I'm glad to be here, and Bedford is a great community.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah, it
so
is.
much
Yeah.
room for opportunity for growth and
Yeah.
things for happening, and I'm glad that I'm part of it, and I want to make things happen. for
Well,
this
that's
town.
great. And now we really are just about out of time.
Very good.
Thanks, Lori. Best of
Thank
luck
you
in the
very much,
campaign.
Kathy. You take
Okay.
care.
Well, there is nothing left for me to say. Lori did a good job explaining the job and her experiences and where she wants to go next. So again, as she said, do not forget to vote. And the other thing is, do not forget to continue watching the series with our 2014 candidates. And until then, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.